Imagine standing on the deck of a massive steel beast as it cuts through the freezing waters of the North Atlantic, where the air is so cold it feels like needles against your skin, and the only thing between you and a watery grave is several thousand tons of industrial metal and the vigilance of your fellow sailors. This is the story of the HMS Ocean, a vessel that commanded respect and carried the weight of national pride upon its shoulders during a time when the world was a very different and much more dangerous place. But this story is not about the admirals who plotted the courses or the engineers who kept the massive boilers humming in the dark recesses of the hull. Instead, this is a story about a tiny, unlikely hero with 4 paws, a long tail, and a set of whiskers that could sense trouble long before any man or machine on board could even imagine it. We are talking about the ship cat of the HMS Ocean, a creature that would eventually be credited with saving the lives of the entire crew in a moment of absolute peril. To understand how a pet could achieve such a feat, we first have to look at the long and storied tradition of ship cats in the Navy. Because for centuries, these felines were not just pets, but were considered essential members of the crew, tasked with the vital job of protecting the ship's food supplies from rodents and keeping the morale of the men high during long months away from home. On the HMS Ocean, the cat was more than just a mouser. He was a mascot, a friend, and a silent guardian who roamed the corridors with an air of authority that even the most hardened sailors respected. The day that would change everything started out like any other, with the ship cruising through choppy seas and the men going about their daily routines of cleaning, maintenance, and drills. No one suspected that deep within the bowels of the ship, a catastrophic failure was beginning to take shape, a silent and invisible threat that was slowly creeping toward a point of no return. As the sun dipped below the horizon and the ship was bathed in the orange glow of twilight, the cat began to act in a way that no one had ever seen before. He was usually a calm and collected creature content to nap in the sun or prowl the galley for scraps, but suddenly he became frantic, running through the hallways and letting out a series of high-pitched yowls that echoed off the cold metal walls. At first, the sailors laughed it off, thinking the cat had simply caught the scent of a particularly elusive rat, or was perhaps just reacting to the changing weather. But the cat refused to be silenced, and his behavior grew more erratic by the minute as he began to scratch at the heavy steel doors leading to the engine room and the magazine where the ship's ammunition was stored. One young sailor who had grown particularly fond of the cat noticed the desperation in the animal's eyes and realized that this was not normal behavior for a creature that was usually so composed. He decided to follow the cat as it led him deeper and deeper into the ship, past the humming generators, and into a cramped, dark crawl space that was rarely visited by the crew. It was there in the shadows that the cat stopped and began to hiss at a specific section of piping that looked perfectly normal to the human eye. But as the sailor leaned in closer, he heard a faint hissing sound and smelled the unmistakable scent of leaking fuel mixed with something else, a sharp ozone smell that indicated an electrical short. He realized with a jolt of pure terror that a fire was moments away from breaking out right next to the ship's primary fuel lines and the massive stores of explosives that could blow the HMS Ocean out of the water in a single heartbeat. The sailor didn't hesitate for a second, and he sprinted back to the bridge to sound the alarm as the cat sat stoically by the leak, as if its mere presence could hold back the impending disaster. Within minutes, the damage control teams were on the scene, working frantically to isolate the leak and repair the frayed wiring that was sparking dangerously close to the volatile fuel. The engineers later reported that if they had been just 5 minutes later, the entire ship would have been consumed by an explosion so powerful that no one would have survived the initial blast, let alone the freezing water. As the smoke cleared and the danger passed, the crew realized exactly what had happened, and they looked for the little cat that had sounded the warning. They found him sitting quietly in the mess hall as if nothing had happened, licking his paws and waiting for his dinner. From that day forward, the cat was treated like royalty on the HMS Ocean, with the captain himself ordering that the animal be given the finest scraps from the officer's table and a permanent place of honor on the ship. The story of the cat that saved the HMS Ocean spread throughout the fleet, becoming a legend that reminded every sailor that sometimes the smallest and most overlooked members of a crew are the ones who hold the power to change history. It is a testament to the incredible bond between humans and animals, and a reminder that we should never ignore the instincts of those who see the world in ways we cannot. Think about the sheer scale of that ship and the hundreds of lives that were hanging in the balance, all saved because one small cat refused to give up until someone listened to his warning. It makes you wonder how many other times in history a silent hero has stepped up to the plate when the stakes were at their highest. The HMS Ocean continued its service with distinction, but the memory of that day and the feline who saved them all remain the most talked about chapter in the ship's long history. Even after the ship was eventually decommissioned, the story of the hero cat lived on, passed down from sailor to sailor, as a reminder of the mysterious and powerful intuition of the animal kingdom. This isn't just a fun story to tell at parties. It is a genuine piece of naval history that highlights the importance of paying attention to the world around us, because you never know when a simple act of observation might be the difference between life and death. The next time you see a cat lounging in the sun or acting a bit strange, remember the story of the HMS Ocean and give that feline a bit more credit than you might have before. They are more than just pets, they are guardians, observers, and in the case of the HMS Ocean, they are absolute legends of the sea. The crew never forgot the debt they owed to their four-legged friend, and every time they looked at the cat, they were reminded of the fragility of life and the incredible luck that had brought them all home safely. It is stories like this that capture our imagination and remind us that the world is full of wonder and that heroes come in all shapes and sizes, even ones that purr. So let us raise a glass to the cat of the HMS Ocean, the little hunter who became a savior, and the mascot who proved that a keen sense of smell and a stubborn heart are sometimes more valuable than the most advanced radar systems in the world. As we look back on the history of the Navy, we see many great battles and heroic deeds, but few are as heartwarming or as improbable as this one. And it stands as a shining example of the courage and intelligence that animals possess. The legacy of the HMS Ocean lives on not just in the records of its missions, but in the hearts of those who know the truth about the day a cat saved a ship and everyone on board. It is a story of survival, of intuition, and of the unbreakable link between man and beast that has defined our existence since the dawn of time. We should all be so lucky to have a guardian as vigilant as the cat of the HMS Ocean, watching over us when the storms of life begin to gather and the shadows grow long. The ocean is a vast and unforgiving place, but on that day it met its match in the form of a tiny feline who simply knew that something was wrong and refused to let it go. And that is why this story continues to resonate today, because it speaks to the hero in all of us, and the idea that no matter how small we are, we can make a massive difference in the world if we only have the courage to speak up, or in this case to yowl, until someone pays attention. The crew of the HMS Ocean sailed on through many more nights and many more storms, but they never felt alone, because they knew they had a secret weapon on board, a silent protector who was always watching and always ready to act. It is a beautiful ending to a potentially tragic tale, and it serves as a reminder to always respect the animals we share our lives with, for they may just be the ones to save us when we least expect it. The story of the HMS Ocean cat is a true maritime classic, and it will continue to be told as long as there are ships in the sea, and people who love a good story about a hero who doesn't need a cape, just a set of sharp claws and an even sharper mind. We can all learn something from this little cat about persistence and about trusting our gut feelings even when everyone else thinks we are just being loud and annoying. Because sometimes being loud and annoying is exactly what is needed to save the day, and that is a lesson that is just as relevant on land as it is on the high seas. So here is to the hero of the HMS Ocean. May his story never be forgotten, and may his legacy inspire us all to be a little more observant and a lot more appreciative of the incredible animals that walk alongside us every single day. The history of naval warfare is filled with stories of bravery, but this one occupies a special place because it is so human and so relatable despite the main character being a cat. It reminds us of the small moments that lead to big changes and the tiny details that can alter the course of an entire lives. The HMS Ocean was a lucky ship, but it was a luck that was earned through the vigilance of a feline who saw the danger coming and acted without hesitation. This is the essence of heroism, and it is why we still talk about this cat all these years later with a sense of awe and gratitude. It truly is one of the most remarkable stories ever to emerge from the waves, and it continues to capture the hearts of everyone who hears it. In the end, we are all just passengers on this ship called Earth, and we would do well to listen to the creatures who share the journey with us because they might just know something we don't. The cat of the HMS Ocean proved that once and for all in his story is a gift to us, all a reminder of the magic and the mystery that is hidden in plain sight if we only take the time to look and to listen. The bond between the crew and their cat was forged in fire and steel, and it remained unbroken until the very end, serving as a beacon of hope and a symbol of life in the midst of the vast and lonely sea. It is a story that ends with a purr and a sense of peace, knowing that everything turned out exactly as it should because one small creature decided to be a hero when it mattered most, and that is something truly worth celebrating. As the years go by and the details of the ship's missions fade into the fog of history, the story of the cat remains clear and bright, a testament to the power of intuition and the importance of our animal companions. We should never underestimate the impact that a pet can have on our lives or the lives of those around us, for they are often capable of things we cannot even begin to comprehend. The HMS Ocean cat is a legend for a reason, and his story will continue to inspire and amaze for generations to come, because it is a story of pure courage and unwavering loyalty. Thank you for listening to this incredible tale of the cat who saved the HMS Ocean, and remember to always keep an eye on your own pets because you never know when they might be trying to tell you something important. They see the world in a way that we often miss, and if we are lucky enough to have them in our lives, we should always be grateful for their presence and their protection. The ocean may be deep, and the world may be wide, but with a hero like that on your side, there is nothing you cannot overcome. And that is the true legacy of the HMS Ocean and its remarkable feline savior.